I'm Bob Cox, Chairman of News Media Canada. Our organization has proposed that the federal government create the Canadian Journalism Fund. This would expand an existing program to cover a large number of news organizations. It includes daily newspapers and purely digital news services. We have asked that the federal government increase spending to $350 million a year from $75 million. That's a big jump, and it's certainly brought out the critics, and they include Andrew Coyne and others. Their main criticism, if I put it in the words of Charles Dickens, goes something like this: if newspapers are to die, they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. These people see government support as a bailout for a dying industry. That shows a profound misunderstanding of how media is supported in Canada and how the news business works. We have long recognized that news media are a public good and need support in a far-flung country. The program we would like to see expanded, the Aid to Publishers Fund, predates Confederation. It's more than 150 years old. Critics also argued that there would still be lots of news gathering from communities if newspapers die. This ignores the fact that there is a crisis in news gathering across media. TV stations lose money on local news. Radio stations barely cover local news. Magazines are propped up by subsidies. Digital alternatives are developing, but few are commercially successful. Newspapers are not the first news outlets to stop covering City Hall and the provincial legislatures. In many communities, they're the last ones left doing so. Is this a bailout of poorly run newspaper companies? Not at all. We designed the proposal to fund journalism. Money is tied to the number of journalists employed. It's meant to preserve newsrooms. That won't save any badly run newspaper company. My own company had expenses last year of $75 million. We might get a couple of $1 million from a subsidy from the federal government. That would do wonders for our newsrooms, but only a good business strategy is going to ensure that we have long-term success. Critics also say that just because other media get money, that doesn't mean that newspapers should also get it. I think that ignores reality. How fair is it that you have a competition in which Maclean's magazine gets $2 million a year and the National Post gets nothing? The media world is so subsidized that the federal government has in fact picked winners and losers, and newspapers are the losers right now. But 92% of Canadians still read newspapers and magazines. It's that fact more than any other that makes me believe that we can transition to new business models and continue to provide good journalism about our communities. All we need is a little help.